All right, I'm here to go over instructions for the yeast experiment, testing different types of food and measuring respiration rate. So here's a good example of what you can expect when you've got everything set up. Let's talk about what it takes to get to this step. All right, so let's go over our materials here. So I've got yeast. You guys will take turns coming back to the scales to measure your amount of yeast. I've got a balloon, so each group needs 2 balloons. I also have my test tubes. Each group will need 2 test tubes. I have a pipette to retrieve your stock solution to test the different types of food. I have a funnel to pour in the yeast, and I also have some hot water and a thermometer. Okay, so that's a lot of stuff. So let's start with setting up your test tube. So the first thing you want to do is set up what's going to go inside your test tube. So here's a test tube. You can see this one didn't get cleaned very well, so we're going to talk about cleaning before we finish the video as well. So here's the test tube, and I need to fill it up with the type of food that I would like to test. So let's go over and look at your options for that. So over here I have my stock solutions. Basically, I've mixed 10% of the different possible food types you can feed your yeast. And we also have the dough. So again, this is what it looks like when the yeast has been eating the sugar found in flour. And so you can see all these air bubbles. You can see that the dough has become elastic. And so again, we know yeast is alive. We know it produces carbon dioxide. So let's see what happens when we give it other types of food. So instead of flour, we can give it potato starch. We can give it table sugar, gelatin, or corn oil. So be thinking to yourself, which macromolecule is oil? Which one is gelatin? Which one is sugar? Which one is potato starch? I would like to test the most basic sugar molecule. So I would like to test table sugar. Guys, notice that the stuff either settles at the bottom or floats to the top depending on what type of molecule it is. So make sure Miss Deal has had a chance to shake these up before you get your sample. The tops do come off so that could be a huge mess. So make sure that only your teacher, myself, shakes them up. But we do need to shake them up. So pretend like I've shaken up the sugar. I'm gonna take it over here to the sink, because if I'm messing with liquids, I probably want to be at the sink. We're going to take off the lid and pipe out 6 millimeters. So let me do that really quick. All right, I guess since it's at the top, we don't need to take it out, but we can take off the lid for the class. So we need 6 millimeters total. And guys, if you fill up this entire pipette, it's 3 milliliters. Kind of hard to see, but the whole thing is 3. So I want to fill it all the way up until I get 3 milliliters. Sorry. Do that twice, and that will give you 6 milliliters. This pipette is giving me trouble. Sorry, guys. Okay, we can say that's about 6 milliliters. So now I have 6 milliliters of sugar water. And I want to make sure that the sugar water is the correct temperature for the yeast. So once I filled up my 2 test tubes, I need to do this once with sugar water. And I'm interested in testing different types of sugar, so I would do the same thing with the potato starch, but I won't do that for the demonstration. And I need to make sure that this water is the right temperature. So I will have hot water back here. We will have a temperature thermometer going. I will let you know when it's the right temperature, and once that's the right temperature, you'll just add it around. Notice how I'm pouring it around the test tube, and I'm making essentially a water bath. So the water will be hot, and it will be heating the liquids inside the test tube. That's very important. All right. So once your group has obtained the liquid inside the test tubes and has heated it, the last step is to get the yeast. And so I will open this for you guys. I'm not going to open it right now because we want to make sure it's fresh for the day of. But you need 0.2 grams of yeast. And remember, to do that, we would turn on the scale. We're going to zero the weigh boat. And then I would pour out 0.2 grams When I've got that amount, I can turn this into a nice corner. I've got my, you might have your lab partner hold the, oh, sorry guys. You might have your lab partner hold up the test tube for you, but essentially you can just pour it into the funnel. And then I've got yeast along with my sugar water inside the test tube, and it's the right temperature. So now I've set up all of the things I need for respiration to happen. So the last step would be to take your balloon. Guys, you can make sure you stretch this out, kind of give it a couple, pull on it a little bit there, make sure it's nice and stretched out. Add it to the mouth of your test tube, and the last step would be to measure the circumference of your balloons. I'll give you paper rulers so you can measure the entire outside of the balloon, and that will be the data you record. Last but not least, I want to show you what it looks like to clean your test tubes really thoroughly. So let's say there's about 10 minutes left of class, you've taken your measurements, you're ready to get rid of this. So we don't want to leave our test tubes with yeast in them all day. It'll be really hard to clean the glassware. So you're just gonna throw away the, sorry, it's hard to do this with one hand. All right, you're gonna throw away the balloon. Here's the balloon. So you're just gonna toss that, toss it. Then you're gonna dump out the yeast water. You're gonna rinse it out a couple times. And notice that stuff has settled at the bottom and it's still not quite clean. So I have this really handy tool for that reason. And basically you would just insert this in the test tube. You can't see me doing it, but like that, right? And then that would allow you to actually finish getting all those last bits that you couldn't clean otherwise. Once you've rinsed it out and you can't see any more yeast on the glassware, you're just gonna place it upside down inside the drying rack here to dry. Okay, that should cover it. Sorry for the long video. We'll talk more in class. Thanks, guys.